Hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar with Mr. Dipu, who is the president at Bajaj General Insurance, and he heads operations and customer service at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Myself, I'm Raghu. I'm the co-founder and CEO for Yellow Messenger. As you know, Yellow Messenger is a platform that enables enterprises to automate their customer interactions on platforms such as WhatsApp, Google Assistant, Alexa, and telephony. And it's an absolute privilege to be talking to Dipu today. They have been our valued customers since our initial days, probably one of our first 5 customers, and they have been pioneers in using this technology and leveraging this for greater business benefit. Dipu also publishes heavily and his articles on technology insurance are widely popular among the leaders and even among the technology and business audience. So to start off the proceedings, I think it will be great to start with Dipu's introduction, what you do at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance, viewers to know Dipu.
Thank you, Raghu. Thank you for a warm welcome. It's always a pleasure, talking to you and, the Yellow Messenger team. Look forward to, an enriching discussion with you. So, Raghu, I graduated from IIM Lucknow, and then I joined G Capital from campus. I worked there for, 20 years in a variety of roles, largely on digital transformation. And then I joined Bajaj Allianz 4.5 years back. And the mandate here also, has been to, basically drive digital transformation across the entire customer life cycle. And so while my role spans, operations, customer service, communities, and business process reengineering, digital cuts across all of my areas in terms of, both transformation and innovation. So that's a very brief intro about, myself and my platform.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot for that introduction, Dipu. So if you see from outsider, when I see Bajaj Allianz General Insurance, I think the speed at which the company has grown and the way that the company is perceived at the audience as a leader in how digital technologies are adopted, and it's up there as the top private insurance company out there in the country, and has seen a very rapid growth both in the mind share and in terms of business numbers and even in terms of financial results in terms of profitability, etc. So a company like Bajaj Allianz General Insurance, how are you thinking about innovation and transformation and how are they enabling this growth, Dipu? That'd be very interesting for us to know.
So Raghu, it all starts with the customer. So what I do is, basically follow 5-step process. First, listen to the customer because, we need to always hear out what his exact needs are. The second is when you hear out customers, you figure out that customers have stated needs and they also have unstated needs, right? Then you look at your current, inventory of systems and processes. And then fourthly, what you do by applying, principles of Lean Six Sigma, you reconfigure or re-engineer, your entire landscape to meet the customer's needs. The fifth is, you go quickly to market, by coming out with the minimum viable product. Right? And then, you keep on iterating because Six Sigma teaches you that, this entire process is an iterative one. So based on a continuous customer feedback, closed looping cycle, as well as, this principle of Kaizen, continuous improvement. And then, you keep perfecting, as you, keep adding more and more features. So that helps you ensure customer centricity, Six Sigma rigor, as well as speed to market.
Amazing. That's amazing to know. One of the things that with insurance that always intrigued me is it's a very long-term relationship with the customer. It's not like a transactional product you sell once. Once individual takes on insurance, it's a long journey to keep meeting the unstated needs. And in that long journey, you also come across things like coronavirus that we are seeing right now. So so really, it's a great challenge for the organizations to maintain the trust with their end customers, especially with challenging scenarios like the pandemic that's came in. So how have you continued to meet the unstated needs of your customers even during the pandemic, and how you see it changing as we go along over the next few years as well?
Okay. So you asked quite a few questions, in that one question. I'll try to answer all of them. The first is, you said, how do we ensure, that we are, meeting customers' unstated needs? So what we do is, like I told you, I, for example, look at every single feedback, which customers send to us. And there's a lot that, you pick up from what your customers tell you, whether it is good or whether, it's areas where you have to, work on making things better. And then, Raghu, we are then able to figure out, like I said, what are the customers' latent needs, which even they are not able to articulate, right? A classic example is from banking. Let's take the ATM. I don't think any customer would have written to a bank, saying that I want an ATM. They would have said, that I'm waiting for a long time in the queue, right? And then you figure out, okay, maybe a solution through a self-service mechanism, is an ATM. So, for example, and I'll give you live examples of what we did. So, when the pandemic was thrust upon us, people are worried, right? How do I get myself tested? Because I could be asymptomatic and I could be carrying it. And they didn't want to go to hospitals because ironically, in the quest to get tested, you can get infected, right? So what we did, we came out with the COVID-19 self-assessment tool on a mobile app. So customers, could then get themselves tested in the comfort of their homes. And this was in multiple languages. And, they were very thankful to us, for it. The second thing we did, Raghu, was during the lockdown. See, lockdown was an economic activity. You can't prevent somebody from falling ill or, wanting to get better. So what we did when people couldn't go to doctors, we came out with the doctor on chat feature, on our mobile app. Again, they loved it, get a digital consultation and go and buy medicines because medical shops are always exempt. Third thing, contact tracing. And this was even before Arogya Setu. So basically, what we told customers that in case, you want to keep a log of, your contacts, use the mobile app, whom you have met. So in case you get infected, whom to inform. And if anybody from your near and near ones, your social circles have got infected in the last few days, then the precautions you need to take. So by being proactive and meeting these needs, because no customer tells you I want social trackback, I want doctor on chat, I want a COVID-19 self-assessment kit. I think, we kept ourselves, ahead of our peers, in terms of proactively meeting customer needs. And we received a lot of validation from customers in terms of their feedback. Our complaints fell by 90%. We received the highest NPS on the marketplace. And our grievances from a regulator perspective were also among the lowest in the industry.
Fantastic. That's a great story to hear. And what I think amazes me is the speed at which all this got executed. I think the wires did not come with a lot of warning, and to really orchestrate all these digital initiatives in such a short time. I think the lockdown was announced with probably 3-4 days notice. It's phenomenal to hear these stories. And no wonder, I think, if I just look back at our association around Boing and implementing the AI technology for customer service, I think your Bajaj Allianz really pioneered, and we call Bajaj Allianz as pull customer. It's actually pulled out the technology from us, right? That if we need this for you and we need these things to enable automation. So really wanted to understand how automation, AI, and conversational AI, especially the technology that went into Boing, how has it transformed Bajaj Allianz General Insurance as a company?
So Raghu, when the lockdown was imposed, right, if you notice, there was a 4-hour notice period, right, before the 3-week lockdown was imposed. So at that time, contact centers, had to shut, perforce almost overnight, which is when, we embarked on a massive communication blitzkrieg, and, our customers, were made aware of all the, various, digital channels that we have. So we have a mobile app. We, of course, have our, AI-driven chatbot, right? And we also have WhatsApp. And what we did was, earlier itself, because obviously you don't do these things, in 4 hours. You don't build these things overnight. We had embarked, on our digital transformation journey earlier itself. And what we had done was we had figured out, what were the key drivers of traffic into the call center. And, the high volume traffic drivers, right? We built customer fulfillment journeys for them on our digital assets. So customers could seamlessly, move from contact centers, to our digital assets virtually immediately. And like you see on those bike ads, right, or car ads, 0 to 100 kilometers in a matter of 4 seconds. That's how, we were able to zoom, our penetration of digital assets. Even today, Raghu, more than 70 to 80% of our servicing, even the contact centers are back, happens through these, digital assets. And coming specifically to your point around the bot, where I think, we've been able to make a difference. One is virtually any industry and virtually any company has a bot, right? The point is, how do you differentiate yourself? So one thing which we had done was we ensured that our customers do not feel a break in service. we did not build a journey by which, the bot is able to answer only FAQs. And for exceptional queries, customers have to go to the call center. We ensured that, there's assistant automation at the back end. In a seamless manner, the transaction handling would move from the bot to a human being, and the customer doesn't feel the change, right? He is able to, carry out his transaction. And over a period of time using AI and NLP, the bot is taught. So the bot is increasingly answering a higher percentage of queries, on its own. The second thing we did was to obviously, offer services in languages beyond English, because English is the default, choice, when it comes to digitization. And I think, that helped us, amplify our reach. The third thing we did was, of course, be amongst the first ones to integrate with Google and Google Assistant and Alexa when they launched in India. So that meant, we could offer, voice-based servicing. And while we were ahead of time when we launched it, voice-based servicing, because today customers are focused on touchless interactions, really came to the party, during this time. So I think this focus on nuances and perfection, really helped us ramp up our customer service.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely privileged to have been working and seeing this from the front row seat, Dipu. So that takes me to the next question on how do you see, what's your vision about how these technologies can change general insurance over the next 2 to 5 years? What is your vision for AI and automation in insurance over this period of time?
Yeah. So it will help in three ways, Raghu. One is, obviously, we see AI kicking in increasingly. I think a lot of repetitive processes, as well as areas where, intelligent automation kicks in, AI will be deployed. It will be a good combination of AI and human beings, because core human skills like care and empathy will not be automated, right? You will always need, human beings there. So I think the future is a good combination of man and machine, right? Good AI, and then good, human empathy and, human EQ. The second is, like I told you about, touchless UI UX, right? Increasingly, it's going to be, touchless, right? Because the people are wary of touch. Nobody wants to press the key in the ATM. Nobody wants to press the button in the elevator. Therefore, if they can get into voice-based servicing, by which, the entire experience is touchless, it's going to not only ensure instantaneous servicing, but also ensure safety. For example, when customers walk into our branches, because the transaction is, paperless, right? Because there are no handshakes and we don't want to discourage paperwork. We have given them, QR codes. They scan QR codes and, get their, requests fulfilled. Third is, Raghu, the future is also going to be digital. It's going to be a combination of, physical and digital. For example, to give you an, what we've done in health insurance, when our customers, go to hospitals where there is a high footfall of, insurance customers, who go in for treatment, we have given them, a virtual relationship manager. So what he does is he calls them up and offers them a lot of care and empathy. He tells them to focus only on moving from illness to wellness, whereas he takes care of, this task of navigating the complex administrative machinery. So the thing is digital and paperless, but the, care is real. And when we got a net promoter score done on this initiative, we got a score of 90 without a single detractor. So therefore, I think, it's going to be a combination of, digital, man to machine and touchless.
Fantastic. So I think your story is so inspiring, and a lot of viewers out here are at several stages of their digital transformation and incorporating technology in their products. So wanted to see what is the advice that you would give them in their digital transformation process across adopting products, working with startups, getting new technology in. What really contributed to the success, and what would like them to do?
Raghu, the first thing is, to make sure that the use case is customer-led. It should not be technology-led, right? You can't deploy technology for the sake of deployment. You can't just attach out to the latest bandwagon. You need to ensure that, there's a real use case out there, right? That's when, you find real value when the rubber hits the road, so to speak. So that's point number one. Point number two is to ensure that, internal stakeholder alignment, happens right up front. Because if you don't do the heavy lifting right up front, you will come across, a lot of objections, later on, right? And Six Sigma teaches you that it's better to do, the alignment right up front, figure out objections, overcome them, get everybody, bound to a common cause, so that when it's time for execution and rollout, right, everybody is working as one. So I think that's clearly, an important aspect from an implementation perspective. The third is to not look at perfection, but roll out a minimum viable product, right? Because if you try to get it perfect, you'll delay your time to market, right? And then you keep learning as you go through, right? Now, when we say minimum viable product, we are not saying it's 80% ready, in the sense that, it's only working to the ability of 80%. We are saying that the product is in its first version, right? You can obviously, enrich it, with features, later on. So I think that's important to, accelerate, your time to market. Fourthly, I think nobody should have an ego or this, not invented here syndrome. I think you need to, today it's all about partnership. So I think you work in the ecosystem with the right partners, across the value chain where they can add value, so that, in a symbiotic manner, it becomes a complete win-win for the customer. So I'd articulate these, as clear for, learnings for, anybody who wants to embark on this journey.
Fantastic, fantastic. So this is absolutely great. And one of the problems I think we are seeing in the market as well, for a lot of companies talking about, and just wanted to see how you solved it, is there's a lot of customer experience which is in where customers are reaching out to you, and pandemic clearly created a problem of reaching out back to the customers as well. Just wanted to see if you have any innovations in that areas, because a lot of our customers and a lot of enterprises out there are asking this question: how can we use some of these digital channels? They may not have a mobile app, whether they can depend on WhatsApp, SMS. Just how did the reach out to the users happen during the pandemic, Dipu?
So Raghu, one is, to ensure that, you use a plethora of channels, right? You're not dependent on any one channel. So when we communicate to customers, we leverage social media, we leverage WhatsApp, we leverage the mobile app, notifications through the app, we leverage IVR, to leave messages, we leverage our website, to have tickers, right? We send out messages, we communicated, to our partners, we also even physically, put up posters at branches. So, you leverage, a host of tools, to communicate to customers. The second is, Raghu, what I mentioned earlier, that typically what happens is, the customer segment is multilingual, but, we end up, talking only in English, right? Or maybe in two languages. You need to talk in the language that the customer understands, so that way, if you need to communicate and ensure that you reach out to every customer, right? You need to communicate in the languages that the customers can understand you. The third thing, Raghu, is in this classic case of, should I go to where the customer is, or should the customer come to where I am? I guess the answer is clear. You go to the platform where the customer is. So if you are omnipresent from that perspective, it helps you, amplify your reach and be really quick in terms of, conveying your message. So I think if you focus on these three fulcrums, you're able to ensure that, you are able to reach out to the customers in a much better manner than you would otherwise.
Fantastic. I think it's a great input for all the viewers. So as before signing off, as a last question, I think some of our viewers also are other technology startups and technology companies out there, and most of them would be really loving to work with a company and a leader like you. So what is some advice that you would give? I think we had a successful partnership, etc. So what are the key learnings of working with either a startup technology company in partnering to enable success? I think Bajaj Allianz succeeded, Yellow Messenger succeeded from the partnership, and it's 3 years, and we are hoping it'll go longer. So what are the lessons, and what's the advice that you would give for other technology companies and startups?
I think this is one question, which calls for a reversal of roles. I should be asking you this question because, you are the one who's had a good partnership with us, and therefore, you should be sharing your secret sauce with the others. Having said that, I think I'll just, lay out, I think, a few principles, which can help, partners. One, of course, is alignment for a common cause, right? I think at the end of the day, we are all doing it for our customer because he's the reason we exist. So I think an alignment is, very critical. The second is, we also, when we do, we obviously go through this entire process of, due diligence and doing a proper, techno-commercial evaluation. So as long as, there is a win-win proposition, for both the parties, right? I think that's when, synergy happens. The third is, I think, both parties need to realize that it's very difficult to have this mindset of saying, we have arrived, right? Because today is on a continuous improvement journey, and today's world is not about being a know-it-all, but about being a learn-it-all. So I think as long as both partners have a learning attitude, and are willing to take, customer feedback, as well as, regulatory changes, including landscape changes, on the fly, and you keep making, adjustments to ensure that, you are contemporaneous and real time, in terms of, being agile and responsive, I think both partners are in play. So I pick, these three examples: alignment to a common cause, a win-win in terms of, the entire, evaluation of, the value provided by both the parties. And third is, continuous learning and being extremely agile and responsive.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much, Dipu, for taking the time. I learned a lot myself, and I'm sure the audience are going away with significant takeaways across digital transformation, AI, dealing with pandemic, and working with startups. That's a lot of information that they can go and implement. So absolutely privileged and energizing always to talk to you, Dipu. Thank you very much, and looking forward to meeting you in person soon.
Thank you, Raghu. The feeling is mutual. It was wonderful, talking to, you and, thanks to all the people, who worked behind the scenes, to make this happen. So thank you, everyone, and if the audience has, derived value from this conversation, I guess, it makes our day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dipu. Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.